If anybody, front or back or anywhere, has a hard time hearing me, raise your hand and I'll put it on. Thank you for coming out. We will bring more seats. If you want to stand, stand. Otherwise, come join us and sit. Let us begin as we always do. Stand if you can. Join me. Let's say the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You know, I may, not many people know this about me, but I have had walking pneumonia for the last 3 weeks. I'm not contagious. I'm the congressman. Yes. And I'm the guy who's had walking pneumonia for the last 3 weeks. I finally got on some medication. So I'm feeling better. My voice still cracks, and it's not all there. And for those of you who know me well, you know I can get pretty excited sometimes. So I often lose my voice. So I am going to use this just so my throat does not begin to kill me. Keep coming in, folks. Keep coming in. Friend and foe and independent, Republican, Democrat, we want all kinds. We have to have all kinds. Because this country, hey, that works. This country, we all love. Amen. We all love. Conservative, liberal, independent, Republican, Democrat. You don't know what you are. We all love this country. And we're fighting right now like cats and dogs. We're fighting like brothers and sisters because we all feel really strongly about what ails this country, and we disagree about how to fix things. The second ritual we go through at the beginnings of all of our town halls, we say the pledge. Because, again, Republican, Democrat, Independent, Conservative, Liberal, you name it, this should be the one thing, one of the two things we all agree on before we're done about 5.5 hours from now. Just kidding. She's got dinner to make. It's not going to last that long. This is the greatest country in the history of the world. Remind ourselves of that by acknowledging it. The second thing we do, Republican, Democrat, Independent, Conservative, Liberal, is acknowledge those. You know, there's probably no member of Congress who's done more town halls than me. It's a pledge I made when I got elected. I'm not going to stop. At the beginnings of every one of these town halls, we say the pledge, and we recognize the men and women who have worn the uniform to defend this greatest country in the history of the planet. Men and women who have died to defend that freedom. Men and women who have been maimed, doesn't matter what their political party is, to defend this freedom. If you have worn the uniform, if you have served this country, stand up or just raise your hand and be recognized. You know, I got to tell you, the media asks me all the time if I'm having a lot of fun as a congressman. My answer is pretty short. No, I'm not. I didn't expect to have fun. And it has been a fight. And if you've listened to me over the last year and a half, I'm awful glad we're going through this fight. If you turn on MSNBC or you turn on Fox every night and all you see are Republicans and Democrats going at it, there's that Joe Walsh again going at President Obama, and there's somebody going at Nancy Pelosi, and you just want to turn it off. You're just sick of it, right? I wish they could just get along. They can't get anything done. I try to say this with a smile, because I'm an Irish guy. I'm usually happy. Here goes, with a smile, grow up. As a country, we need to grow up. As a country, we have let it get to this point where we are almost $16 trillion in debt. And if we don't change that, our kids and our grandkids will never forgive us. We, as a country, have let it get to the point where the unemployment rate isn't really 8.3%. We all know that's not true. Americans aren't working right now. Now, Republican and Dem, we can argue about how to fix that, but this country isn't working. Our brothers, our fathers, our mothers, our aunts, our brothers, our sisters, and our sisters, we aren't working. You know, we're going to lose more homes this year in Illinois than we did last. Something ain't right. I am glad the country is fighting. I am so glad. And even if you disagree with everything I'm going to say today, and I hope there are people here who will disagree with me, I think we've been asleep for 40 years. We all have lived our lives, raised our families, tried to grow a business, go on vacation when we can, coach our kids in soccer, and every 2 or 4 years an election comes around. Be honest! Be honest, everybody! We don't really pay attention. We haven't to the elections. And we just keep sending the same guys and gals back to Washington, Springfield. Republican, Democrat, doesn't matter. You know, most of us live in either very safe Republican districts or safe Democrat districts. So we just keep sending the same ones back. We really don't pay attention. And then all of a sudden, after having done this for 40 years, something happened 3 years ago. It's like the American people just woke up and said, oh my God, wait a minute. We're broke. How did this happen? And now we're beginning to fight about it. So if you're turned off by the fight, I'm going to ask you to buckle up. Don't get turned off. Don't get turned off. It's too important. Don't get turned off. Don't just say, I wish those politicians wouldn't fight. I'm glad we're fighting. My God, men fought to start this thing not that long ago. Men and women have given their lives. We just had a young man from Elgin who died in Afghanistan a week or so ago who gave his life for this country. I think we all can put up with politicians fighting about how to fix these problems. Politicians hate to look the American people in the eyes and say, you know what? You all got to grow up a little bit. You all do. We hate to do that. Why do we hate to do that? Oh my God, I'm going to lose a vote. Uh-oh, I'm going to lose a vote. We're past that. We're way past that. If you've been to my town halls, you know I don't talk much. I'm going to talk for about 4 or 5 more minutes, and then we'll open it up to a lively, engaging discussions. Let me go over a couple things. I did make a pledge when I got elected that no member of Congress would hold more town halls than I will. I did that for a few reasons. The main reason I did that is because, call me a silly old-fashioned fuddy-duddy, but I work for you. I literally work for you. And not everybody in this room voted for me. It'd be great if that were the case. Not everybody voted for me, but I still work for you. Too often we elect people, send them to Washington, they stay there for a long time, and what happens? Republican, Democrat, they flip that around. You know, they're the big important person. They wear that congressional pin. They come home every now and then. They maybe do one of these things once every quarter. They don't do 2 or 3 a weekend like I do. Why? Because they think you work for them. I would argue that one of the reasons we're in the mess we're in today is because we've got people in Washington who have been there way the hell too long. And they have forgotten what it's like to go through what we're doing. Hallelujah! Hey, comes a guy like Joe Walsh who says, not going to happen to me. There's no way on God's green earth I would ever serve more than 6 years in Congress. I've limited myself. I sleep on my office in Washington. I come home every weekend and hold a gazillion town halls. I turn down my congressional health care. I turn down my congressional pension, retirement benefits, because I am sick of them being treated differently than us. Now, because I do this so much, and because, unlike a lot of members of Congress, I don't just invite friendly Republicans to my town halls. Good God, that would be boring. I'm on TV a lot. I'm on MSNBC a heck of a lot more than Fox. I like being with people who disagree with me. I find it engaging. I find it important. But because we do this, the next hour and 15 minutes should be a pretty interesting, engaging time. I saw you look at your watch. Because we do this, and everybody can be here, and everybody and anybody can ask your congressman a question or spout off on whatever you want, and you may love Joe Walsh, and you may want to throw me on some deserted island somewhere. We only have one ground rule. And if you can't do this, just go, leave. It's one word, it's respect. It's simply that. Respect every viewpoint in this room. If you think we ought to be in Afghanistan for the next 20 years and you want to strangle him because of that, take a breath and respect that opinion. If I think that there should be no such thing as the estate tax, which I do, and you think I am a knucklehead for thinking that, respect my opinion. Hey folks, one more thing I think we'll all agree on. I truly believe, and that's why I'm putting myself through this. This election in November is going to decide this country's fate. I think it's that important. I think then we ought to have a pretty important election. And if this election comes down to what religion Romney is, what planet Obama was born on, how many vacations Michelle has had, how rich Romney is, how Joe Walsh has financially struggled, how whatever troubles Tammy Duckworth had. If our election comes down to things like that, who loses? We as a country lose.
Our kids do.
Our kids lose. This is the most important election, certainly in my life. Treat it that way. Treat it that way. And for the next hour and 15 minutes, treat everybody that way. We're in Streamwood, which is part of the new 8th district, not in my current district. You guys know the history by now. A district was drawn by the Democrats to elect a Democrat, probably to elect Tammy Duckworth. Before you jump on the Democrats, because what they did in Illinois is outrageous. Fair's fair. Republicans do it in other states. Look what Republicans did in Texas. Look what Republicans did in North Carolina. The party in charge of the state controls redistricting. And in Illinois, it's controlled by the Democrats. I don't like that. I find that bothersome, and I'm going to spend the next 7 months looking every voter in the face, in the eyes, and saying, do you think that Dick Durbin or the Democrats should determine who your next congressman or woman is? Shouldn't happen. But I'll tell you one big difference in this campaign. Do you know why? Let's see. If you know this answer, don't answer it. Why don't most members of Congress like to do what I'm doing right now? And I've done about 160 of them. Why don't most members of Congress like to do this?
Because some of them,
Quickly. Give me quick answers.
because they got sat down because they were doing the wrong things.
Okay, one fair point. Members of Congress generally hate to get in front of people who disagree with them. You're going to ask me a hard question. No, I don't want to have to answer that. That usually scares us. What else? Why don't members of Congress do this very much?
Because you might say something to the opposition.
Oh, are you serious? I never thought of that. You mean I might say something that the opposition might use? Me? I'm never that out smoking. Bingo. You win the answer of the day. Most members of Congress hate to do this because look behind you, everybody. Everybody wave at the cameras. Every word that Joe Walsh will utter for the next hour and a half is being taped. And it's being taped by Tammy Duckworth. Hey Tammy, how are you? Everybody wave at the nice lady there. It's being taped by opponents of mine. Fair's fair. You know, they can do that. And this scares the heck out of me.
Tammy won't
Because
show
I
up.
can say something like, I want to get rid of the Department of Education, comma, because, but you know what? Like Miss Duckworth right now, all she's going to do is tape, Joe Walsh wants to get rid of the Department of Education. We are scared to death because every word is taped and it's going to be spliced and diced. I guess I just don't know enough and that doesn't bother me. Because again...
You need to repeat the questions when somebody asks.
Thank you. Thank you. He's going to be real trouble this whole time. That doesn't bother me, again, because this election is so important. And so for the next 7 months, I am going to do as many of these as I can as a candidate. Why? Because I want to hear from as many voters as I can as possible. And I can tell you what, right now, my opponent won't. Tammy's going to do the exact opposite. Tammy's going to, in fact, do the exact opposite. She's going to film Joe Walsh everywhere. I guess I think the voters have had it with that.
Yep.
I don't want, if I can make one plea to voters this year, it's this. Forget if you're a Republican or a Democrat. Throw that out the window. This country, again, that we all love, is falling off a cliff. We'll go over that. The state of Illinois, in which we all live, is falling off a cliff. I think because of that, whoever you vote for this year had better have the courage to get directly in front of voters and tell voters exactly, respectfully, what you're going to do about that. And if you as a candidate this year, don't have the courage to get in front of a voter who may like you or not like you, a voter who may agree with you and bow at your feet, or want to throw a tomato at you, if you don't have the courage to do that this year, tell that Republican or that Democrat, respectfully, you don't have my vote this year. You don't have my vote this year. I get so worked up because I put myself out there all the time, and I can just, here's Tammy and here are the other Democrat groups, and I respect them all. Hold on, man, I'll come. You'll be the first question. And all they're going to do for the next 7 months is film me. Come on. Come on. Have the courage to sit down. Have the decency to sit down in front of voters and say, here's what I'm going to do. And you know what, voters? Throw your questions at me. Not scripted answers. Not only people who my staff has filtered and I know what you're going to ask. No. Bring it all on. All right, I'm going to stop there. I was going to go on, but I'm going to stop there. So, let's adhere to my one ground rule. Again, I'll be fairly adamant about this. Respect everybody. I have another little rule. There's always another little rule. If you've got a question or you have a point, get right to it. Don't take 5 minutes, take a minute. I'm an old teacher, so if I feel like you're going on too long, I'm going to hit you. Let's keep this moving because I want to hear from everyone. You all notice that there's an RV sitting out in the parking lot? Did you notice the RV? I'll explain that RV near the end of the town hall. That will be sort of my wrap-up. I go back to Washington tomorrow. We've been home for our Easter break. Outside of being sick, we've tried just to hold a bunch of town halls and get out in front of people. We're going to keep doing that. What's going to happen in Washington the next couple of weeks? Pretty easy answer. Probably not much of anything. Both sides are campaigning now. So if you're looking to Washington to do anything the next 7 months, don't. Focus on your life. Focus on your business. Do what you can the next 7 months. Because Washington is basically, now just so Ms. Duckworth isn't confused, Tammy, this isn't the way I think it should be, but nothing's going to happen in the next 7 months. Both sides are playing politics now. And that's what happens. So, I'm going to stop there. Sir, I promised you the first thought. I don't think we need a mic, so stand up and get into what you want to get into, and if people can't hear, we'll pass around the mic. Thank you.
You were very true about that. I'm getting tired of hearing these politics as usual, pointing fingers at everybody else and not saying what they want to do, but they blame every politician. Oh, you did this, you did that. I'm getting tired. It's BS. And that's what I want to say.
Thank you.
I hope everybody else agrees.
No, hey, great point. Let me ask you a question.
Yes.
And I know you said, thank you.
You have to stand.
Okay.
You are.
Boom! I love that! Good. Let me ask you a question. Are you upset that Washington is fighting right now? Is that bother you?
I'm upset because they don't listen to people.
Amen.
They don't follow.
And let me ask you a question. Both sides, do you see one side doing more of that or the other?
They're both the same.
Got it. Thank you. Thank you. Now, again, I tend to agree with you. And a lot of it's their fault. Because, hey folks, I got to be honest with you. Gee, I hate it when a politician says that. Here, most politicians, most people in Washington, truly no longer really connect with you. And because of that, they can sort of do this to you. And then they sort of fight in their own world. Again, I'm going to put it back on us, and I'm glad you're fired up, but I'll bet you if you and I had this conversation 8 years ago, you wouldn't be this passionate. We're all fired up now because it's all falling apart. And I'm glad.
I would respectfully say no. I have been like this for the last 30 years.
Then you are, my friend,
Last 30 years.
I respect the heck out of you, then you're a pioneer. Thank God. Then do me a favor. Keep that passion. And support it.
The problem is Congress will not listen to you. You'll put it this year, out here, and file 13.
Then you know what you do?
Vote them out.
Vote them out. Vote them out. And again, this may get me in trouble with some of my Republican colleagues. Oh, thankfully, this won't be on tape. Everybody turn it off. It doesn't matter to be Republican or Democrat. If you've been there for 10, 15, 20 years, come home. Come home. Get the job, work, come join the rest of us. That's why I think, one thing, term limits are so important. Term limits are so important. Yes, sir.
I was at one of your meetings, and you said a statement I was looking at.
I'm going to give this to you. See if that's on. No. Turn to the crowd and try to speak loud.
Anyways, I would like to know who are the 50% of the people in this United States of America that don't pay any taxes. I've been paying taxes since I was 11 years old. I'm retired. And last year, I'll tell you people, last year my wife was retired, I'm getting Social Security. I paid taxes. I just filed my taxes. I paid $47,000 that I paid taxes on after I got my government deductions. On the $47,000 I paid $6,100 in taxes. Now, who exactly in this United States of America, and they're sitting there saying the 1%, the 5%, who are the people that aren't paying any taxes? Because I'm confused by it. I would really like to know who the people are, the 50%. Because if they're not paying any taxes, they don't give a damn.
Democrat.
Well,
They need some skin in the game.
yeah. No, I agree. It's about 49% does not pay federal income taxes, about 49%. So we're about to hug 50%. An elderly woman told me during my last campaign, we're getting really close to the point in this country where there are more people in the wagon than pulling the wagon. And eventually, people are going to just stop pulling the wagon. Those people not paying taxes tend to be those people who are dependent upon government benefits. And so of a certain income level, we have just sort of gotten them off of the income tax rolls. Why? Because, well, again, I agree with you that everybody, no matter the income, 6,000 or 6 million, everybody should have skin in the game. Everybody. And right now we've got about 49% of the population that doesn't.